It has been reported that the wife of Malcolm Jamal Warner has spoken up, and everyone is in shock over what she revealed. She is coming forward with the identity of the person she believes killed Malcolm after years of rumors, cover-ups, and unsolved issues. To be clear, this isn't some ambiguous assertion or mysterious hint. She is revealing information, naming names, and bringing to light a tale that has been suppressed for far too long. It becomes messy at this point, though. She asserts that before his death, anonymous threats were sent to Malcolm, telling him that he was being monitored and tracked and urging him to back off. It appears that a powerful person is making a concerted effort to prevent this fact from becoming public knowledge. They're also not being fair. Now, the actual query, is that the reason? Why now? And who stands to gain from the mystery surrounding Malcolm's death? It gets uglier the further we go, you know? And judging by his wife's speech, it's only the beginning. Therefore, gather your receipts, as this isn't merely the voice of a sad widow. No matter how far up the chain the offender is, this woman is determined to bring them down. It appears from the manner Malcolm's wife allegedly reacted that she is seeking blood since, according to her, Malcolm didn't drown because she is now prepared to reveal the identity of the perpetrator. She isn't being reserved. He didn't mince words and didn't let his murderers go. Now disregard what you were told by the media. She's referring to it as a complete cover-up. And everything might be completely turned upside down by what she now understands, names, threats, and intentions. She's giving everything away. Someone was about to be revealed based on the way she was speaking. Knowing how tenaciously Malcolm defended his family throughout his lifetime, however, makes her statement all the more poignant. He never gave their names or their faces to anyone. Additionally, he prioritized keeping his daughter and wife out of the public eye and out of the spotlight. And his wife is now honoring that, despite her pain. Although she is still anonymous, she is reportedly still coming forth with what she knows, so she is not keeping quiet. Additionally, the manner she is doing it with composure, strategy, and courage. Even though she never reveals her identity, she is ensuring that Malcolm's voice is heard. "There's no way Malcolm died in that water," she said, dismissing the drowning claim as her first action. She said that because he had already left before ever reaching the ocean. He was unable to defend himself when the rip current struck. Malcolm is said to have been an extremely strong swimmer. Additionally, he was able to manage the rip currents. He wasn't in a panic or unsure of what to do after this strange accident. The fact that onlookers were attempting to assist was the aspect that truly bothered me. And he didn't answer even then. That's when it appears that there was a severe issue. According to some reports, an autopsy conducted soon after Malcolm's passing revealed no water in his lungs. And everything changes drastically if that turns out to be the case, since the absence of water in the lungs indicates that he was unable to drown. Not in the manner that the media has been promoting it anyway. What actually transpired before he hit that water is now the question. It appears that his wife may be saying that he was poisoned, using an undetectable poison, and that the evidence of the crime was concealed by pushing him into the river. However, why would anyone wish to remove Malcolm Jamal Warner? He was, after all, quiet, unassuming, and utterly unproactive to most. He avoided drama, kept to himself, and somehow found a way to enter the spotlight without becoming embroiled in controversy. He was uncommon in Hollywood for that reason alone. Why then would anyone wish to perceive him as a danger? It appears that Malcolm had begun to speak up, and not in a casual way, according to his wife. She says he was speaking out more behind the scenes and criticizing some very influential people. They didn't take that lightly, it seems. You see, Malcolm was becoming well-known due to the popularity of his podcast, Not All Hood. He was revealing the hidden hardships that Black performers experience, exposing the hypocrisy of the industry, and revealing the true nature of Hollywood. It wasn't watered down or sugar-coated. Additionally, several people felt increasingly uneasy the more candid he became. Additionally, Malcolm does more than simply chat in one of the episodes I'll be playing. He was giving names to some turns, questioning authority and awakening individuals. And there are typically repercussions for telling the truth like that. You see, the title is meant to counter the media's dominant portrayal of Black culture or Black life. Additionally, you are aware that we are all the same. Yes. Additionally, the idea is that we are not all hood. Well, the Black community isn't a homogeneous group. Malcolm wasn't scared to ask the awkward questions aloud either. Similar to when The Cosby Show was taken off television as soon as Bill Cosby was found guilty. In the meantime, films directed by Roman Polanski and Woody Allen continued to be shown as if nothing had occurred. He publicly criticized the unfairness of the system. When a Black man is involved, the entire heritage is burned. Everyone tries to distance themselves from the artist when it's a white dude. And just like that, his honesty became a problem for those who gain from keeping quiet. However, that isn't all, since Malcolm further claimed that the influential white executives in Hollywood were deliberately causing unrest in the Black community. He claimed that it was they who promoted drama and set up prosperous Black men against one another for amusement and financial benefit. Simply, he criticized the entire Kendrick versus Drake fight last year, claiming it went beyond simple rap beef. It was culturally detrimental and well thought out. He claimed that while strong individuals sat back and cashed the checks, it exalted violence, selfishness, and division. Fans also observed that Malcolm's farewell podcast broadcast contained a very subdued yet impactful message. He talked about how Black guys are routinely dehumanized by the media, how they are pushed, labeled, and confined all the time to the brink just for being there. However, it was his hint that he was preparing to reveal everything that truly got people's attention. It seemed as though he was warning us, and perhaps even aware that his time was running out as he looked back at so many people. What he said was this: the Black community is diverse. The Black community has a lot of levels and lanes, and we want it. A place where we could acknowledge and talk about all of those lanes. Because there are so many different kinds of terms of our viewpoints, beliefs, and lifestyles, and we wanted to be able to have a space where we could talk about all of those things and, illuminate the parts of ourselves that are not entirely hooded. But according to rumors, his wife claims that there are too many things that simply don't sum up. She may be certain that Malcolm's death was not an accident for precisely this reason. Let's now discuss the rescue. It is said to have occurred on a public beach, attracting onlookers and daylight. However, in a time when people use their phones for everything, not a single image or video has emerged from that particular moment. That raises more than a suspicion. What emerged subsequently, however, is even more disturbing. Recently, a brief video has appeared that purports to just before everything happened. Malcolm was strolling by himself on the beach. Nobody is aware of who filmed it, why, or why it has never been reported. People are beginning to wonder if he was being followed, because it seems like someone was observing him. Finally, we have an update regarding Malcolm Jamal Warner's drowning death. It has already been reported by ABC7 that Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned while relaxing in Costa Rica. The article continues by stating that Warner drowned Sunday off the coast of Costa Rica. In fact, this happened on Sunday. They said that ABC News had been informed of this by the Costa Rica National Police. The second man who is in the water with Malcolm is also a mystery. No one is aware of his identity to this day. His identity has never been made public, and based on what we've been told, his predicament wasn't very dire. Within days, he was discharged from the hospital. Even Malcolm's 8-year-old daughter was allegedly involved, and she hardly had to visit the medical facility. However, Malcolm was the only one that died. Yes, this one is not a math problem. The number of variables is excessive. That's where things start to go hazy. According to Malcolm's wife, the autopsy findings made it quite evident that he did not drown. No indications of effort in the water, no water in the lungs. It's all not adding up. However, Costa Rican authorities asserted that an autopsy was conducted and declared the death to be unintentional. The problem is that the complete report hasn't been released yet. Not to the family, not to the public. The obvious question is now being asked. This was only a terrible mishap. Why is so much information being withheld? Lastly, the reason Malcolm entered the sea in the first place is not really explained. This beach wasn't your typical one. Red flag warnings indicate that it is recognized to be dangerous according to locals. Day with hardly any lifeguards on duty. What therefore is the reason for Malcolm's natural caution and strength as a swimmer? Some people might disregard all of it. Fans no longer believe the official narrative at this time. Many individuals now think that his wife was correct all along. Malcolm never walked into the water voluntarily. Thus, he didn't disregard the warnings. Let's be honest, this is nothing new to you. Black musicians with a strong voice who decline to perform the Hollywood Games appear to suffer from the same fate every time. They either fade into obscurity or pass away unexpectedly in ways that don't seem natural. Malcolm now appears to be the most recent in that lengthy and tragic pattern. However, things become much more strange at this point. Malcolm's wife claims that the true reason he traveled to Costa Rica was to obtain some fresh air for his mind after he had been inundated with threats. Nor, she says, were the threats merely hate mail. He received serious, anonymous, and untraceable calls urging him to be quiet or face consequences for his family. And it seems that all of this began when he intensified his activism and denounced the treatment of black artists in the sector. Now, the obvious question is being raised. Was Malcolm escaping something much more hazardous? Or was he merely attempting to unwind in Costa Rica? There are allegations that the calls often left him so shaken that his entire mood would change if only one were given. She also claims that Malcolm began making cryptic references in his last podcast episode, indicating that he was at last prepared to reveal everything, regardless of the repercussions. However, he drowned before he could execute that maneuver. All of the truth he was carrying suddenly perished along with him. And now that Malcolm has left and the official narrative is rife with inconsistencies, his wife is doing all in her power to come forward since whatever Malcolm discovered, obviously, made him a target. This doesn't appear to be an accident, given the unresolved questions, the enigmatic threats, and the missing video appear to be a cover-up. And whoever silenced Malcolm isn't merely attempting to bury a man. If what they're alleging is accurate, they're attempting to conceal the truth. However, they may have misjudged the extent to which his wife will go to ensure that his narrative is not forgotten. Due to the world is watching this time.